Welcome to the Narrowing Path, walking the spiritual walk. My name is Stephen Iverson. Thank y'all for joining me today as we go and read through, take a look at July 10th reading from James Allen's Daily Meditations. This will be, of course, fresh to you and fresh to me, meaning you'll get my genuine response, reactions, observations, and what I relate to about the reading, as this will be the first time I hear it or read it right on the podcast with you. And it's always fun because sometimes I get caught off guard. I got to process things. I got to look up things. Y'all come with me on a little journey sometimes. So I always appreciate that. And thank you, everybody who's been jumping on and listening. I greatly appreciate it. So I'm looking forward to this. July's been great so far. So I'm expecting another good one here for July 10th. So let's get right to it. Here we go. This is today's reading, July 10th, from James Allen's Daily Meditations. The greatness that is flawless, rounded, and complete is above and beyond all art. Interesting. Wouldst thou preach the living word, thou shalt forego thyself and become that word. Thou shalt know one thing, that the human heart is good and divine. Thou shalt live one thing, love. Thou shalt love all, seeing no evil, believing no evil. Then, by thy pure thought, thy selfless deed, though it appear hidden, thou shalt preach down the ages to untold multitudes of aspiring souls. To him who chooses goodness, sacrificing all, is given that which includes all. He becomes the possessor of the best, communes with the highest, and enters the company of the great. The greatness that is flawless, rounded, and complete is above and beyond all art. It is perfect goodness in manifestation. Therefore, the greatest souls are always teachers. That's interesting. What an interesting one. The wording on this feels a little bit strange comparatively to other ones. You know, it's very, almost feels like a passage out of the King James version of the Bible. And I've never seen him do that before, where he repeats the opening line in the bottom line, but finishes it. It's a very interesting. This is an odd reading for the day in structure wise, right? Which always makes it interesting, which means it's probably one we should pay attention to. And just my overall impression of it is it's talking about, in general, living right, not speaking right. Or maybe I should say it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk. That our actions will speak louder and reverberate longer than our words ever will. And that I agree with and that I believe. I love the last line. It says, their greatest souls are always teachers, whether they know it or not. How you conduct yourself and walk through this world makes you that teacher. So, all right, here we go. Let's go ahead and break this down again. The greatness that is flawless, rounded, and complete is above and beyond all art. It's an interesting statement. It's almost talking about like perfection, flawless, rounded, and complete. So no rough corners, no short imperfections. The greatness that is flawless, rounded, and complete is above all art. I mean, because art is still crafted by human hands, which are fallible. So that makes sense. So it must be God made, I guess, is what we're getting at here. Wouldst thou preach the living word? The living word. Thou shalt forego thyself and become that word. That's a pretty cool thing, right? That's what he's saying. Are you going to just tell people how to live? Or are you going to show them how to live? Right? Like, are you going to be one of those teachers that we hear about throughout time? You're going to be one of those teachers that makes such an impact that it's almost impossible to forget them. Thou shalt know one thing, that the human heart is good, is divine. Thou shalt live one thing, love. So when you hold that perspective and you come from a place held in your own heart of love and caring and compassion and genuine well being to your fellow man, that is greatness. That is righteousness. That is where all good and everlasting actions come from. Is a heart filled with love, thoughts filled with love, and actions taken in love. And the human heart is good. This is in general, this is kind of a, uh, not conflicting, that's not the word I'm looking for, but a statement up for discussion. So, is there some deliberation on this as to what if that's accurate or not? I think human beings, as the running on their own selfishness and self-centeredness, can be pretty damning, pretty harmful. But I believe, I do believe, if we all stopped and listened to the right thing, became less concerned with ourselves, our in our hearts, we do want to do the right things. We do. Human beings, when serving a god or something greater than themselves, usually predominantly end up being better when truly serving them too, not selfishly, like not in violence or anything like that, not a misconstrued word, but out of love. When a human being functions from love to serve a power greater than themselves, they are good. Their heart desires it. That's the connection we feel with the world, is when we feel that goodness and we feel that we're a part of this world and being of service to this world. So I do believe that. I believe that the human heart is good, is divine. Thou shalt love all, seeing no evil, believing no evil. That's a pretty direct statement. I like those. I always say that. You will love all, seeing no evil, believing no evil. No, um, don't cast those negative influences and thoughts on people, right? We've learned throughout these meditations that people function that way out of ignorance and fear. And that's really where sin comes from. So the people aren't necessarily evil. It's just where they're at. And we can have some compassion for that, right? I think that's what he says after this. Then by thy pure thought, thy selfless deed, though it appear hidden, thou shalt preach. So when we run into those people that some would consider evil, but we see just a lack of knowledge and awareness, and we are able to have compassion for them, and we do the healthier thing, we do the righteous action, thou shalt preach down the ages to untold multitudes of aspiring souls. So our actions in those moments will speak louder than any words we could ever preach, will speak louder than any person we can convince. It is how we behave in those situations where most would feel like a victim, but we search for the loving action. What a beautiful thing that is. And those are the things that we will be remembered for. And those are the things that really preach here. It's the way we conduct ourselves in these situations in service to our fellow man and God, that higher power, whatever you want to call it, source, Mother Nature, anything you'd like to refer to it as. And you shall preach down the ages. So throughout time, these actions will reverberate. We have these teachers in our lives, people that have made such a substantial impact that they're still talked about today and remembered thousands of years. How impactful must a person be to still be talked about? It's crazy, isn't it? It's the thought is mind blowing, really. To untold multitudes of aspiring souls. I mean, that's the truth. You don't know how many people you will affect by the actions that you're taking today. What will you be an example of? He goes on here. To him who chooses goodness, sacrificing all, is given that which includes all. Love. You're given love. You're given peace, your serenity. You're given joy. You're given happiness. You're given these gifts that so many can only dream about having. It's amazing what's actually possible. He becomes the possessor of the best. What a cool line that is. Becomes the possessor of the best. You have the best within you now. That's a pretty cool place to be, isn't it? He communes with the highest, meaning we follow the path that God's laid before us, or that power greater than ourselves is laid before us by living that spiritual life, and enters the company of the great. Those who also have walked this path, those who also are walking this path of righteousness, achieving and striving towards that ideal that we look for, that we want to emulate and be like, that we didn't even ever know we wanted until we started changing the way we lived. We didn't realize that's the target we were aiming at, and that just aiming at that target and approaching it, everything we've ever wanted comes true. Every desire of hope and joy, love and kindness, contentment and peace and presence, steadfastness and surety and confidence. All those things are gained by just walking towards this target. It's an amazing journey. It's an amazing thing that can happen to a person, really. And you don't even realize it. It just happens along the way. We just start living right, and life just turns out to be this beautiful thing that unfolds before us. Now he ends it again. Again, this is a repeat. First sentence is a repeat of the first line, which is interesting. But I guess it's because he completes the whole passage here. The greatness that is flawless, rounded, and complete is above and beyond all art. It is perfect goodness in manifestation. Perfect goodness. Therefore, the greatest souls are always teachers. I like that a lot. Always teachers. Just again, whether they intend to be teachers or not, people will learn from them. We talked earlier about to untold multitudes of aspiring souls down the ages. Our actions and our behaviors and our ability to maintain ourselves and our composure and our resolute belief and knowing will teach for generations to come. It is perfect goodness in manifestation. Perfect goodness is capitalized, by the way. And so it is God in manifestation. So it's when we walk this way of life, it's as close to being God as we can be. Being like God, maybe is a better way to say that. Having the characteristics of Christ, having the characteristics of God. This ideal of living that gifts us back more than we could ever have asked for or imagined. So That was a good one. I enjoyed that one quite a bit, actually. Like I said, when it gets changed up like that, it's always reels me in a little bit more, right? Because that it breaks the format, so I've got to make sure I'm paying attention to what it's saying. So, but not that I don't always, but sometimes it's a little bit more attention grabbing, which is always fun. So, great reading today, though. Thank you everyone for jumping on and staying with me, for riding along here on this July roller coaster. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of July brings us. So I will be back on here again tomorrow. So until next time, thanks.